My next guest is a tech talker, YouTuber, and self-proclaimed tech tinkerer. He can tell you the best Thermaltake application pattern because he's tried them all. He's a mad scientist of sorts, conducting bizarre experiments on PC parts. No component or tempered glass side panel is safe from this man. With over 1 million followers on TikTok and another 1 million on YouTube, I'm excited to sit down and talk with him for the first time. His name is Adam Yee, but you may know him as Mr. Yeester.
I've actually never done like this formal of a podcast or
Oh, yeah?
anything.
Really?
Yeah.
This is the first one? This is a world exclusive, Mr. Yeester?
Yeah.
No way.
What do I do with my hands? Where do I look?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Over there, huh?
Yeah. You're used to like holding the camera, right? Not like all these like 3 cameras staring at you on tripods.
I need like a mock one just so I feel okay. Yeah, this works.
Yeah, right. Tell me you're addicted to making TikToks without telling
exactly.
me. Oh man. So how's CES been so far for you?
It's been good. It's been a lot, especially coming right off of the holidays, which I always tend to slow down.
Yep.
This always comes in like
100
miles per hour.
I've always hated that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it feels like a lot, but it's always exciting. As soon as I got here and started seeing things, I was like, okay, yeah, it's fun to look at stuff. It's fun to like
it is.
see stuff that other people have been working on. Just
right.
to be like, oh yeah, this is cool.
What kind of things have you been looking at, and like anything like just get you fired up
so,
yet?
Yeah, the stuff that I like to look at is the things that I just like don't understand what the use case for, like what it's actually used for, as opposed to like the latest TV. Like it's cool, but it's like I can see someone.
I understand it. I understand it too well.
Yeah.
Like it's boring to me. Like
but
give me something.
Then
weird.
I find like a $10,000 toilet. And I go, tell me more.
Yeah, dude. That's where it gets fun.
Yeah.
That's where tech gets really fun.
Yeah. Like I saw one that had an e-ink display on it. On the toilet.
Quinn from Snazzy Labs, he was in here earlier. He was just telling me about that.
Yeah.
It's just got
popular toilet.
Just screens all over it, dude. Like
I was thinking like you could put a leaderboard on there. But then I was trying to figure out like what would you make the leaderboard of? You know?
Damn.
Time spent sitting?
Yeah, right. It's almost like a tracker, right? Like it counts your steps, but what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, you can get pretty graphic.
Just the number of it.
Just the number, how many times or how long, how much toilet time.
That's what I'm saying.
You're doing? Did you get your 30 minutes in per day?
Yeah.
What's a healthy amount of time to be on a toilet per day?
Maybe it matters more about how many times you do it.
Maybe,
I don't know.
I don't know. But if you're on a toilet for like 2 hours, something's wrong, right? Like you gotta see someone.
You just wait. You just do it all at once.
Yeah, that doesn't sound recommended.
Once a week, but it's for 7 hours straight. You know.
Right.
But that's the fun stuff that I like to look at. You know, like
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, yeah. What is new in toilet tech? Which is really funny because I saw a lot of different companies, like a bidet company. I don't know, just like weird stuff that I've never interacted with, and I go, I actually wish that for every one of these booths, they also have their target demographic person or someone who's actually bought their product, so I can go up to them and say, tell me about why you pressed buy.
Yeah, give me a verified purchase customer.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like, I want to get in your mind.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the stuff at CES, it's all like, you know, it could be prototyped or it's like future looking, which makes it even more fun.
Right.
But it's like, I just want to talk to someone who's used these things like in their day to day, as opposed to just like 10 seconds of me.
You got to be careful though, because then they might sell you on it.
I kind of want
Suddenly
that,
you're like,
you know?
it's like, sell me this pen. It's like, they sold it to me, dude.
Sell me this $10,000 toilet.
I'm flying back with a RGB toilet.
It did have RGB on it. It has an app.
That is incredible. I have to see this for myself.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. So were you actually making content with it too? Like, did you film anything for it, or just looking at it?
What I kind of do is I just film like mini series where I just include all the most ridiculous things.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So as far as the extent of that, it was included, you know.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it was the first thing that I included.
That is very cool. And it was Kohler, you said?
I actually don't remember.
Which brand? Okay, cool. Damn, dude. So this is your second CES.
Second CES.
And I kind of want to just talk to you, like kind of start from the beginning in a way.
Sure.
When did you actually even start making tech content?
Sure. I started the first year of COVID.
Okay.
So it was like a lockdown side hobby thing.
What else are you going to do? Yeah.
Just to like, honestly, it was like a creative outlet. So the way it kind of started was I'd always been into building computers. Yeah. And when lockdown happened, I was like, I need to do something with my hands and my mind. Right. So I went out and just like bought a bunch of different computer parts, would assemble them and then sell them. Okay. And I did that for like 6 months straight. Yeah. And then I got to the point where I stopped selling stuff but I kept buying stuff.
Yeah.
So I just had like an
Just for
influx
yourself.
of because I was just like, oh no, it's like I just like having the parts.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't want to give away the parts.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the parts.
Yeah.
And then my basement was just like flooded with computer
You're
parts.
like you're like a foster parent that like doesn't want to give the child back at the end of it. You're like, I want to keep this.
Yeah, like when people foster pets, I go,
Yeah, dude.
how do you?
There's no way.
I would just keep them all.
Yeah.
You know, which is exactly what happened with my computer parts.
Yeah.
And so, like after that 6-month period, I like flipped open my phone once because I saw. I actually remember the exact thing that made me start making like a TikTok video. It was an NZXT Manta PC case.
I saw that. I went
did
down
you?
all the way back.
Did you scroll all the way?
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, there's because it has a button that lights up the back panel so you can more easily plug things in hypothetically.
Yeah.
It's like I've like had a lot of cases over the past few months. I've never seen one that has that feature.
Right.
That's sweet. And I just made like a little video about it.
Right.
And it was fun, you know? And then I had so many other parts where it's like, oh, I'll just keep doing that.
Yeah.
And then I posted my first like Thermalpaste video.
Right.
Like a few videos later.
Right.
And it like overnight it did like numbers. Like 1 million plus overnight.
Way.
And
you just wake up.
And I was just like, I'm just like sitting here just like, this feels weird.
Yeah.
I don't like all these eyeballs.
This is too much power.
Yeah,
exactly. What do you do with that? You know?
Yeah.
It really kind of just sparks that question. Like, what do I do with this?
Totally.
Now? Like, do I just take this with, pick it up and ride with it?
Yeah.
Do I like just back out? Like, this is not the direction I want to go?
I literally called my mom and I said, I have a weird, like, I don't know how to describe this feeling. I like it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of terrifying.
Right.
Because it just feels like there's so many eyeballs.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know? And it's and then she was just like, I don't know, just like keep doing if it's fun. And I go, okay.
Yeah.
And so I just like that night I like went down and was like, I'm gonna make more Thermalpaste videos.
Yeah.
And then like shot off like 5 more in the day.
I was gonna say because I went back there and I saw that they have tons of views, like those really early Thermalpaste pattern videos. Yeah. So did all the other ones kind of pick up the same level of traction as that initial one, or?
Yeah. I mean, like I think I posted like 3 or 4 in that same first day.
Yeah.
And they all did like very similar numbers. Okay. It was a time when I think TikTok was really just all about short, like really short content, aesthetic content, and content that like would engage audiences with like, oh, do this next, do it. Like for the first like 6 months of my content, every single comment no matter what I posted was, do a dot, do a smiley face,
just
do
endless
a plus.
recommendations from the internet.
Like I would post like a Minesweeper video, and every single like thousands of comments would be, do an X, do a circle. And I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, I'll give the people what they want for now.
Yeah, dude. So you were enjoying that. Like, actually, curiosity. Like, what were there any patterns that like surprised you? Any patterns that people suggested? They're like, this is not gonna get good coverage, and you're like, whoa, that's actually pretty good. There's got to be one that's like stands out.
So there was one where Benny the Bull commented, like Chicago Bulls, like the mascot account.
Oh, really?
Commented and was like, do the Benny the Bull one. And so it was the first one where I actually like tried to draw something that wasn't just like a simple pattern.
Yeah, just like a silly.
And it did not look like a bull.
Look like a bull at all. Yeah, right.
But I still did it.
Yeah.
And
maybe a Da Vinci.
It kind of worked. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because I actually did do Mona Lisa one.
Did you do Mona Lisa?
Yeah, because I went to France. And I saw Mona Lisa and I was like, all right.
Yeah, I know what I have to do. I know what I have to do.
And that also did not look like Mona Lisa at all.
Sure, yeah, which makes it even funnier.
Yeah.
So then at what point were you like, okay, I'm going to chill out on the Thermalpaste videos and then just start doing other random kind of tech?
Yeah. So for a while, I almost felt like, I think it was like the first 2 weeks, all I did was post Thermalpaste content.
Yeah.
And it was just, that's what everyone was really into. And I was like, I was still into it too. Cause
right.
Like,
yeah, for sure.
This is sweet. Like, I want to see what happens when you do these patterns. Yeah. I started sprinkling in other tech content probably after those like first couple weeks. I always liked to come up with like different series ideas. And so I think like one of the initial ones that I had tried was just like the what happens if you unplug everything from a computer while it's running kind of thing. And like very, very early on, I didn't want to just only do Thermalpaste forever.
Right.
But it was clear that if I just posted a Thermalpaste video like every couple days, like it would work.
Did you have a realization at some point like that early on, because those videos blew up right away?
Yeah.
Did you have an idea like this could go, so like this could be, I could make a living doing this?
Oh no.
No,
No.
not even. It was just like
No,
this is kind of fun to see
was,
the engagement
no,
and
it was,
interacting with people.
Yeah, more that. It was a pure creative outlet.
Right.
Which is exactly what I wanted it to be.
Right.
Right. So now it's just, like now I actually have an indicator of like how I can, not to say it's successful or unsuccessful based on views, but it gave me just something to look at in terms of, like now I have parameters mainly around the platform, right? It's like, I have a time parameter around, I've been making YouTube videos for a long time on like the Call of Duty editing side of things, but like in terms of the tech stuff, the short form stuff really, I think, just enabled my mind to do things really quickly. Right. And so it's like I could do 5 videos a day if I wanted to. Right. And it gave me that parameter of like, all right, it has to be under 60 seconds, which was cool. Sure. And I liked to give myself another parameter around, how can I, get someone to ask a question after they watch this? Yeah. So I'm going to try, so it just like narrows the box of like where I can be creative.
Definitely.
And that was fun for me.
Right. Because I do feel like with long form content, sometimes it's just such a daunting task. Like, how do I make a 15-minute video and like make it interesting the whole way through? It's a lot. Well, it's a tremendous amount of work where it's like, they always say like if you have a big project, like do it in bite-sized chunks. It's like that's what TikTok is. It's like every project is a bite-sized
you also
piece.
get feedback after every single bite-sized piece.
Ooh, true.
The issue, and I've kind of experienced this trying to do long form from short form, which is the short form's like if you want to try something different, you can get feedback from it in an hour,
right?
Like 2 hours.
Yep.
If you want to sit down and try something different with long form factor content, and you're scripting and you're filming and you're like shooting A-roll, B-roll, editing, making change, this is going to take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then at what point, and then in the longevity of that content, so much longer.
Exactly.
So when do you get the feedback of, this worked? Is it 6 months after you did all that process and then say, wait, what was I trying in the first place?
So just the frequency, like the frequency of viewer feedback is so much higher. It's at such a higher rate on TikTok that you're able as a creator to just iterate way faster.
I always thought about it as a way to prototype ideas, where it's like, let's see if something sticks and maybe turn that into a longer video, potentially. Right.
Yeah.
Most of the time not, but like in my mind I go, that's what I'm using it for.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Yeah.
How much would you say you focus on the short form versus the long form? Because I know you do both.
For the first 3 years, I only did short form.
Okay.
I never even thought about making long form factor video. And like I didn't really start even taking long form seriously until like last year, where I was like, oh man, like this feels like, I feel like I haven't figured long form out and it's like bugging me.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever stop doing this and be like, never figured it out even a little bit. Because with short form, it's like when I have an idea at this point, it's like I can visualize how like the execution will go.
Right.
With long form, I go, there's like too many pieces to like just do in my head all at once.
Exactly.
Because of the like it takes so much longer. And
that's
so
the thing.
It's
like you have to spend 20, 30, maybe more hours just to see if it landed.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And if it doesn't, you're like, that was like such a huge investment. And
and like, especially after doing short form for like 3 years, I like hardwired my brain to expect that feedback immediately. Yeah. Where then like the first few months of making long form factor videos, I was like, I don't know what my goal is. I don't know like how to measure success. I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
right, exactly.
I'm just throwing stuff at the wall.
It's hard because there's just like so many different steps involved, and it's like I feel like making TikToks is like caters to that like ADHD, ADHD mentality. So it's like if you think in that way, like it's way easier.
Even from a creator standpoint, it does. Right? It's just like you can
100%.
just do it and it's there. It's like, sweet.
So I mean, well, now you have well over 1 million followers on TikTok and YouTube. So at some point you had to have realized like, okay, it's still a creative outlet and it's still fun. Yeah. But now it's like kind of have your own small business in a way.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
So was there a moment when you were like, when you realized that?
Yeah, it was when I I think it was when I left my full-time job to do it.
Oh,
so at this point,
what were you doing?
It is like a full-time thing.
Yeah.
And it was January of 22.
Okay.
So at this, it's like
pretty recent.
Yeah. So it's like I think we're like it's basically 2 years as of like right now. Essentially.
Yeah. Right.
And yeah, it's really interesting because the short form side of things, even while I was doing it, they were still all the platforms were still figuring out their monetization. Right. and the longevity of like, is this really like, how much of this is a fad versus here to stay? I think that's like still up for question in some regard. And so I would always look at like people like you, people like Austin, people that have longevity in the long form, and I go, wow, like how did they figure this stuff out? And so when
it was different back then too, but
yeah, always is.
The algorithm's gotten so much more savage. It's like it's not as forgiving as it used to be. Plus, there's just so many more great creators. You know what I mean? That's like the pool of competition which is great for consumers, the end consumer, but it has gotten very competitive, and it's like it's much easier to keep someone's attention for 60 seconds than 15 minutes.
Oh,
you know what I
totally.
mean?
Yeah.
And there are guys like YouTube used to just be just dudes, just like dudes alone, like solo guys just like making videos from from their house, and now they're like full production teams.
Now it's like 8 people, and
Linus has over 100 employees.
Yeah, totally.
So that's the new bar that all creators are now being held. Like that's the new benchmark.
Yeah.
So it's like it is much harder to make long form content stand out.
Yeah.
When you're up against those guys. But so what were you doing before all that? Like what was your full-time job before this?
Sure. I was working in healthcare tech.
Okay.
So I was working like inside of an integrated hospital that basically owns like their own doctors, has their own hospitals, and also has like an incubation center where they do like innovative stuff and like build new products for the hospitals, for the doctors. And I was on like product teams building those kind of things.
Okay. Nice.
And
that's what you went to school for as well?
Yeah. So I went to grad school for a program called Human Computer Interaction, which is basically a fancy way of like combining computer science, psychology, and design.
Okay.
And so that was like my first job. That was like really my first real job.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad I had the experience of for like 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Before like cutting the ribbon and being like, peace.
Dude, how was that? Just like, because very similar to me, I had to quit my full-time job. I didn't have to, but I decided to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like, it was panic-inducing for me.
Yeah.
What was it like for you?
I very vividly remember the very first day after I had like quit my job and was sitting there in my house. I was like, wait, what do I do?
Yeah, right. yeah. The reality just sinks in.
I was like, I gotta go buy a whiteboard or something. Yeah. And like, it was like wrote down some stuff and I was like, here's my plan.
Yep.
Wow. But it was hard. Like, I think it was mainly hard just to all of a sudden have to schedule time and try to like be the person who like disciplines yourself to be productive. And for a lot of it too, like mentally, I was still like stuck in the 9 to 5 hours of, I should be productive when it hits 9 and when 5 comes, because that's just like what I did for half a decade. But what I realized is like, that's not really where my creativity really likes to flow. Okay. And so
you a bit of a night owl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like even when I was working, I was making content, and I would do it like at night, and then wake up tired and be like, I gotta go to work.
Yeah, do the same thing.
So I was like, if I take out the work part, then I'll just do it during the day. Right. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
I still wake up tired and go. Ugh.
Yep. So I mean, what was the reception like with like from your parents?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like my parents were very supportive. Yeah. Like on the outside.
Yeah.
But I could tell deep down they're like, what are you doing, dude?
Very similar. Yeah. My mom out of the gate was just like the most supportive person.
My mom
almost to the point where like I didn't expect it. I was like, I called my parents like after I made the decision.
Oh, really?
And was like, yep, did it. Like I'm gone.
That's smart.
Yeah. and my mom was like, that's awesome. Like full support.
Oh, nice.
And my dad, like, it took him a little while to come around.
Sure.
For like the longest time, he would just be like, well, if you're really gonna do this, you should be considered. Like, it's not that I'm like thinking about it. I already did it.
The ship sailed, baby.
Yeah. But now, like, it didn't take long, and now like my dad will send me texts of like, videos about like videos I posted. Like he actively watches my stuff, which is just like the most like endearing. Like having support from parents is incredible.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
I mean, like my mom is my biggest fan. Like she'll watch all my stuff. She doesn't even know what half of it means.
Same.
Just goes over her head, but she'll like tell her friends about it and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, any kind of hesitation when we first made that jump was really just an indication of their love for us. Like they just want us to be all right. They want us to be okay.
100%.
But then once you start you buy a new car, you put a down payment down on a house, and they're like, all right, you know what?
They're like, oh.
I knew this was going to work out all along. I was the first one to say that, right? Thank you so much to MSI for making these CES 2024 talks possible. So MSI unleashed some killer tech at their booth, but one thing that totally stole the show, literally towering over everything, was the MagMaestro 700L PZ. This beast of a dual-chamber chassis sports EATX and MSI's Project Zero motherboards. You know, the ones with the sleek cable action going on at the back for that clean look. But hold up, it gets even cooler. The case is a single piece of CNC'd aluminum, meaning zero panel gaps. Add in that one-piece glass panel wrapping around, and you've got yourself a stunner. Ready for some extreme water cooling too. 3 360mm radiators, kind of extreme. What? This unique bad boy, the MagMaestro 700L PZ, is hitting stores in the next month or two with an MSRP of $379.99. Now, if that's a bit too rich for your blood, check out the MagPano. This one's got a more budget-friendly price tag, coming in ATX and Micro ATX sizes. US market gets 4 pre-installed fans, or you can choose a fanless version for the international crew. It's available in black or white, and that wraparound glass panel gives you the ultimate wide-angle views. The case features solid cable management behind the motherboard with plenty of room, and these cool hinged cable covers to make stubborn side panels a thing of the past. With so many Project Zero builds on display, it's no surprise that MSI is also flaunting their line of clutter-free boards, featuring the B650 chipset for AMD's Ryzen 7000 series, and Z790 and B760 chipsets for Intel's 12th, 13th, and 14th gen CPUs. Back Connect design for effortless cable vibes, robust power delivery, and extended M.2 SSD heatsinks, they've got it all. Not to mention 20 gigabits per second USB, Wi-Fi 7, and 2.5 gigabit LAN for that extra sauce. Available now, so get them while they're hot. Hats off to MSI for making these CES 2024 interviews go down. Scope out their latest gear with the links in the video description. Thanks a million to Thermaltake for backing my CES 2024 chats. Now about those fans. Thermaltake's kicking it up a notch. Forget the old ones. These new Tough Fan EX and Suave Fan EX models are on another level. Why? They've got magnets that let you link them up, waving goodbye to that cable chaos. Coming in 120 and 140mm options, these fans only need one cable to power up to 3 fans at once, making PC building a breeze. Need to clean, mod, or swap the blades? Easy peasy. Plus, all the fans include some lube so your little propeller doesn't dry out. Thermaltake's not just stopping at fans, no. They're diving into the racing sim world with the GR500 cockpit. It's got it all. Adjustable fiberglass bucket seat, pedal mount plate, and a sturdy frame that's pre-drilled for all major brands like Thrustmaster, Logitech, and Fanatec. And hey, if you're into that triple monitor setup, they've got a stand for it. Picture this. 3 of Thermaltake's 32-inch curved monitors with all the bells and whistles. Quad HD resolution, 170Hz refresh rate, 1 millisecond response time, and sleek bezels for an immersive edge-to-edge view. Want the deets on all of Thermaltake's latest tech? Hit up the link in the description. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, like, where were your channels at the time that you decided to quit your job? Because that definitely factors in too, right? If you have 10 followers versus a million.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think TikTok was definitely my biggest platform at the time, which also made it a little rocky because it was still like, it wasn't sure how to.
It's Wild West, man. Still is.
Yeah, it still is. I want to say I was around like 700,000 on TikTok.
That's pretty solid.
And maybe like 200,000 or 300,000 on YouTube.
Oh, dude.
Something like that.
Oh, man.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, I think that the people that subscribed to my YouTube were there for short form stuff. And I almost wish that there was like an indication of like, oh, this person subscribed from the shorts feed.
Right.
Because I see the numbers on those channels and I go, I think it's inflated. You know, like personally, it's like,
yeah,
the conversion from short to long isn't 100%.
Of course.
Right. But the number, they're all together.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
like if it's 200,000 people and I want to make long form to be more stable,
yeah,
but only 15% of those people are subscribed for long form.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then I really only
That's
have,
a really good point.
30,000 or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
But I mean, I've seen your views on YouTube. They're doing good. All the long form stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
they're good, man.
Yeah, it's still a journey. Like this, like I said, I've only really started taking it seriously recently.
Yeah.
And I'm still figuring a lot of stuff out. Like, there's a lot of just like, I still kind of feel like I have no idea what I'm doing.
I still don't. It's been 10 years. Like, I have no, like, sometimes I'm just like, how did I even get anywhere? You know, any semblance of growth or success. I mean, I think a lot of it is, partial luck. Part of it's like making your own luck and just throwing shit to the wall and seeing what sticks. But I think the number one thing is to just keep doing it.
100%.
You know what I mean? It's like
I 100% agree.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you quit, like you're definitely not going to succeed. If
Yeah,
you don't
for sure.
quit, you still are like,
Yeah.
you know, the odds are a little better, but at least they're not zero.
Yeah, dude.
You know?
And the worst thing though is like thinking that I probably have a chance and then never getting to find out if you would have made it or not. Like living with that regret. Like, oh, dude, could I have done it?
Yeah.
If I had
Totally.
tried.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely took a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And it's been working out really well.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Congrats on all that, dude.
Thank you. It means
awesome.
a lot coming from you because like I said, I look at like the longevity that you've had, Austin Evans, like JS2 like the people that I have watched even before ever picking up a camera to start making content.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're still able to make content and enjoy it, and like that's something that I wanted to ask you about at some point as well.
Yeah.
About like that journey of.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like every creator's journey is different.
Yeah.
And like Austin, he's like still scaling, like, you know, slowly but scaling his team. Linus has just become like a corporation. Jay is scaling his team. But then there's like other creators like me or like Paul's Hardware and stuff where we're just like still kind of one-man bands. We have like an editor and things like that, but we keep it small, and that's just kind of like our preference or whatever. So I feel like there's like the two real paths that you can take.
Sure.
There's pros and cons to both. There really are, and it just boils down to what works best for you.
Totally.
And for me, it's like what sucks is like if I go down, if I'm sick, then no content's getting made.
Totally.
You know what I mean? There's no paid time off or anything.
Yeah.
Unlike if you had a team. But at the same time, I don't have 15 people that are depending on me.
I can't even imagine the stress of that.
I would not sleep at night.
I don't think I would either.
I don't have it in me. You know what I mean? And I used to be like an assistant manager at Newegg. That's what I was doing before.
Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't like it, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't like, even if it was just an assistant manager role, but I just like, it put this weird dynamic between me and all of my coworkers where we used to be on the same level, and suddenly I had some seniority, and it's like, can we still go out to lunch together?
Yeah.
It's weird. And like, I'd have to tell them to do things. I hate telling people to do things because I hate people telling me to do things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be a manager. I don't want that role.
Yeah.
I just want to have fun making content. And there's a sacrifice to that, that like the sacrifice is that like I have to be okay with like not being able to put on a roast, like some kind of crazy production like Linus or Austin might do.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
It would be fun, but would I trade that in for all of like just the peace of mind and like the low stress environment that I have for my life? No. So it really is everyone's journey. That's kind of how I've landed. And, like there's so many moving parts to it. Like, burnout's a thing. After you've been doing it a while, like you can only grind so much. Yeah. It's not sustainable. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of it is grind when you're young and you have the energy and it's still fresh. Yeah. And if you do it well, you do it enough, you will get to a place of success. And then if you want to keep putting the load on, you can scale up, or you can just accept that you're going to just kind of maybe sloop down a little bit to like a cruising altitude. Sure. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of like, I feel like where I'm at now, and I'm comfortable with it. I'm paying the bills. It's great.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
Yeah. So what do you think, where do you think you're headed?
100% what you just described.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love just like the low overhead of it all.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea how to scale a team. I've thought about it a lot, and I've like taken like baby steps into it. I don't even have an editor right now because I don't even know how to have those conversations.
For sure.
I've tried it, and I go, oh, like I don't know how to verbalize what I want out of stuff.
Yeah, right. And also like I feel like a lot of the content that you make is so personality driven, and it's so unique to you that it would be hard to find an editor that would still be able to create that same feel. Like I think that's part of the story. It's like part of the narrative and how you get your message across.
I also think just part of the way that I've developed my like working habits, mostly from the short form stuff, which is, it's not a super linear process. I don't like have idea, write script, film, edit, post.
Yeah,
right? It's like
shotgun spread.
I have this like kind of idea. I'm gonna start it. Oh, this would be fun to do this way, and then I edit it, and then I go, oh wait, actually I should do like this. Actually, I'm gonna go do. And so it's like I don't know how to introduce someone to that process and work with me here. Right. I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. You would have to change some things.
Totally.
You would have to change some things about your workflow and your work habits and all that, which is easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah, totally. So if I think about it, I totally appreciate like the way you described it of, the opportunity cost is there and you have to be okay with not having a team of 7 people, but at the same time, you don't have to worry about the stress of, I'm responsible for 7 people's like livelihoods.
Right, exactly.
Which is terrifying to
yeah,
me.
for sure.
So like,
yeah, dude. And it's like, and who knows, like people change. Things might be different 5-10 years
totally.
for anyone.
Yeah.
So I always keep that door open.
Yeah.
But at least for now, I'm chilling.
Nice.
I mean, speaking of like creative ideas, I feel like you have a lot of those. Like you do some wild things. You
That's
do some
the fun
wild
part.
things with
Yeah.
tech.
Yeah.
What did I write here? I was like, you're a self-proclaimed tech tinkerer, right? That's what it says in your profile.
Yeah.
I think you're more like a tech grim reaper. I feel like when you walk in a room, like all my hardware right now is terrified that you're here.
Okay, here's the thing. How many computer parts do you think I've broken over the course of my 4 years of being the grim reaper?
You know what? I would guess that it's a lot lower than most people think because
you're right.
PC parts are way more resilient than most people give them credit for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing where it's like, I had this series where I was just putting random stuff on top of CPUs to see how it would perform as thermal paste.
Sure.
I'm still using the same CPU and motherboard that I started with, and it's been like a 4-year thing. That thing's had like a pound of Nutella on it. It's had marshmallows melted on it, and then I got it off by burning the marshmallows off. So I just put it over a fire.
Yeah.
It just keeps working.
That is nuts.
And so it's like, I think I have that perception where it's like, like hide your computers when it comes around. And
right.
I've definitely destroyed some. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I have destroyed my fair share, but like relative to what I've done.
Right.
A lot less than you would expect.
Definitely.
Which is kind of fun,
Yeah.
I actually like that computer parts are as resilient as they are because I think you're right. A lot of people think that they're very fragile. Yeah. When I built my first PC, I was the same way.
You're terrified.
Yeah.
First time out in like a CPU cooler, like I'm going to crack it. It's going to be like the earth's going to open up the second I screw this down.
I remember putting in like my first stick of RAM and being like, I know I have to hear a click,
yeah.
but I'm pushing pretty hard.
Yeah.
For
sure. I still do that sometimes.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah. But I love the fact that like when I get comments of people saying like, oh, like you've made me not afraid to build a computer because like I'm not worried about breaking it if it can survive
exactly
like a 13-foot drop off a building.
Have you ever damaged a part that you were like you kind of weren't expecting it to get messed up and you're like, oh damn, I wish that was still working?
I don't want to jinx myself because I'm trying to think. Like I've definitely broken parts that I was like in ways that I didn't expect them to break. But then when I think about the process of how I broke them, I go, oh, it kind of makes sense. Like
right.
Like I kind of recently put a hard drive in a microwave.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and it's like, all right, yeah, it'll probably break.
Sure.
But the way it broke was the interesting part, where it's like, yeah, there were sparks flying when it was in the microwave.
Yeah.
But when I took it out, it's like, all right, yep, there's some like electrical burn here and there. Let's see what happens when we plug it in.
Right.
Plug it in and like start the computer. As soon as like electricity flowing through it, it like breathed fire.
No way.
And I was just like, oh my God. And like, I wish I had more cameras filming at the same time because like I panicked. I was like, as soon as I saw it, and I was like, oh, what am I doing? This is sick content. I was like, well, like my brain was just like safety first, which thank goodness. But
where do you think that your affinity for these kind of crazy experiments comes from? Like, were you tinkering with anything like this, like before tech?
Not really.
Because imagining like you might be the type of kid that would like set their transformers on fire or something like that. Like
no, I mean not really. Like I said, I think it's just like, to me it ended up just being like the perfect platform for that creative outlet where it's like I just like asking these questions that a lot of people are like think out of the gate are just really dumb because it's just like don't do that.
I mean, some of them are very silly. And it's like there might not be a practical reason to this.
Sure. Yeah,
but
exactly.
That doesn't make it any less entertaining or fascinating.
Yeah, because you never know what could happen if no one's done it, right? And it's like you probably like, I don't know, like yes, it will probably break if you throw a computer out at your window, but like what if it doesn't? You know? Like
right.
And then what if you double it and what happens?
Exactly. Sometimes the result is totally expected and sometimes you're surprised.
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of like a mystery every time. It's like you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah. So I like that feeling. I wouldn't say it's something that I do just like actively in my day to day.
You're just not a destructive person.
What happens if I like puncture this fire extinguisher? Let's find out.
Just pulling random people's hair.
Not really. It's like
Yeah.
I just think it's part of the just like, I don't know, like I said, a creative outlet, and it kind of like breeds those kind of questions.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What would you say? Because you would actually know this answer better than me. Like, what is the most resilient PC part?
I'll say like relative to people's perceptions, CPUs.
Yeah.
Because in like specifically the AMD CPUs with the pins.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you know, like the PGA format, like people say like don't even set it down on the pins.
Don't look at the pins.
Don't look at them wrong.
Don't look
at
them wrong. Yeah.
And then I did this experiment where I cut them off. I cut off some of the pins, and it would still work.
Right.
Because like
they were just the grounds.
Yeah, they were the grounds, or they were just like, you know, waiting for the update.
Sure.
pins.
Yeah. Exactly.
And just like, as soon as I did that one kind of early on, and as soon as I did that one, I was like, man, I'm not afraid to do anything anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, if you cut off like the most, like the thing that everyone says to be the most careful around,
right,
and you just like take a hammer to it,
dude,
and it still works.
You become like impervious to.
Well, what else? Like, what else are people saying?
There's
safe?
Nothing to be afraid of.
Sometimes I just look up people's like posts or videos about like definitely what never to do with technology, and I go, here's my list of stuff to do.
Yeah, right. You know? Those are just content ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like everything's more resilient. I would say like hard drives are probably like the least resilient thing. Yeah, and like rightfully so, because they just have so many moving parts. But
yeah, definitely.
Even then, like sometimes they still just work after doing ridiculous stuff to them.
Right.
So.
Just don't microwave them.
Yeah,
might be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I want to talk to you about YeesterPaste. You have your own brand.
I do.
Of Thermalpaste.
I do.
And I wanted to ask you, like, how did that all start? Because it's like product development.
I have some with me too, by the way.
Perfect. I actually wanted to try something. I want to do something with those. That's why I asked you to bring them, which we'll do in just a bit. Check this out. Yeah. Dude,
yeah, it's something that I'm really proud of, just because it was an idea that I had for such a long time. Okay. And the way that I've kind of approached like the platform that I now have is just, I just kind of want to try everything that I can that the platform has enabled, because otherwise like I would never be able to do it. So I'll just say like yes to the things that I think are really interesting that I don't think will come about in different ways. Sure. And so, you know, like my brand identity for a while was Thermalpaste, because it's like, oh, he just squishes Thermalpaste and he does like alternatives of Thermalpaste and stuff. Yeah. And I loved that, and I loved that feeling of like
I'll be the Thermalpaste guy.
Yeah, and
or that
you know,
title proudly.
Even building PCs, I think it's one of the few things in the PC building process that I do think is creative and fun. Where it's like everything else, like, okay, how many different ways can you plug in RAM? Right. Right. True. It's like there's a right way to do it. Yeah. How many ways can you insert a CPU? There's like one right way to do it.
Good point.
How many ways can you apply Thermalpaste? Yeah. As many as you'd like. Literally. You know, infinite, and I was like, I like that feeling where it's like it's this one creative way. Like even if it's like, you know, you still want to optimize. You know, you don't want to like add too much or too little or whatever. It's like I like that feeling of it. And so I had the idea of like, oh, I should make my own Thermalpaste brand for a while. Yeah. Then I was like, okay, to do it, I want to make it different enough where I'm like proud of it, as opposed to just like slapping my name onto something.
Yeah, just some OEM.
And I did reach out to like some existing Thermalpaste brands and was like, hey, like, do you want to like just do a collaboration of like, oh, this is like a Noctua X MrYeester paste edition for the next month or whatever. Yeah. And like I had those conversations while I was also thinking of like, all right, well, if I did it by myself, how would I do it? Because I would have a lot more creative control. Right. And very early on, I wanted it to be something that wasn't differentiated in the sense of performance, because, you know, like, am I going to discover a new material that all of a sudden makes computers cool 50% cooler?
Yeester liquid metal. Yeah. Like, that's the way.
Maybe not. But what I did know is like I had so much experience applying Thermalpaste where it's like, okay, like I think I can like add different accessories to the Thermalpaste to make it more fun for people. Sure. And so what I ended up doing was thinking like, all right, like I get a lot of comments, people who are building PCs for the first time and asking these types of questions. And I just like tinkered with a bunch of different ideas of how to target people that hadn't built computers before. Right. And those feelings of like, oh, I don't know how hard to push the RAM in. Yeah. I don't know how much Thermalpaste to apply. Right. And so I was like, oh, if I could add an accessory to include with thermal paste that could help solve that kind of like feeling, I would be proud of that.
Definitely.
And so like that's the approach I took, alongside just like figuring out how to like have a, like work with manufacturers to come up with the product and do all that stuff.
Yeah, was that a lot of work? Because I feel like, were you working with overseas suppliers or okay?
Yeah, well, a bunch of like, I basically, so the process itself, like once I was like, I like want to do this, how do I get started? I don't know. Like if you just Google like how to make a brand, like you're gonna get nothing,
exactly.
So I was just sitting here just like, like, and eventually what I did was I went out to a bunch of different manufacturers from a bunch of different places and just got a bunch of samples.
Okay.
And so, I like very quickly, I knew like generally what kind of specs I wanted out of the thermal paste, just from like knowing I didn't want it to be worse than like something that was out there, but like it's not going to be way better. So I got a bunch of samples and like tested the samples myself, and like ended up having those manufacturer conversations where I kind of like, this is one of those things where it's like I made my team feel like I like faked my team being bigger, where it's like if a manufacturer contacted me, I would like pretend to be like an assistant kind of person, where like to make myself feel more legit, we're like, oh, I'll send this to my like I don't know, like, other people.
He's on his private jet right now, but he'll call you when he lands.
Something like that.
Nice.
And so that was like the thermal paste side of things, which was like pretty fun to figure out. And then like the accessory kind of things, I came up with this idea of how to like squish these two plastic cards together for you to be able to figure, like, to practice your thermal paste pattern before you apply it into your PC. Because for a lot of people, you never see how the paste squishes.
Exactly.
And so like that was a really fun process to figure out, like not just how to do that in a way that you could like package into like a thermal paste bag, but also to like, I don't know, like I think there's some user experience design stuff there where it's like, oh, like how do people think about this? How can you do this in a way that is economical from the business side, is fun from the user side, and just like that part was like really fulfilling to me.
Yeah, definitely.
So like I actually had like a bunch of different ideas for accessories, and just like that one stuck just because it like works really nicely with the packaging and everything.
Right. It's a great accessory. I haven't had a chance to use it yet, but I've seen some of the videos that you've used to promote it, and I think it's such a clever idea that it's like, because every other thermal paste on the shelf looks the same and it more or less is the same. But this is like thermal paste plus confidence. Like it gives especially new builders, the confidence of like, okay, I have a better grasp of what I'm doing now. I can test it before I use it. And it's just cool. It's a cool tool. I was gonna ask you, like, because this is like black. It's like black colored, right? So how did that come about?
I had this whole idea where I was gonna do a whole lot. Like I wasn't just gonna have one type of thermal paste. I was gonna have a whole bunch of different kinds that were targeted towards different different PC builder type people. So this was the one that was like for beginners, where it's like, all right, here's it comes bundled with the practice tool, so that you can get that confidence of like, okay, now I know I added too little, so I'll add a little more on my PC. I was gonna have like a red variant of the thermal paste that was like for like overclockers, if I could find like a manufacturer that could have, like, increase the watts per meter Kelvin of it.
I mean, you could just do that. You could just dye thermal
paste. You can just change the color
without any like. Why don't people do that? That's so fun.
Some do. I mean,
really?
Yeah. There's some like.
I've seen white. I've definitely seen white.
There's definitely white. There's some blue thermal paste from.
Oh really?
Thermal Grizzly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and so like you can change, and it doesn't impact thermal performance. To the point where it's noticeable.
Right.
The other thing that I wanted to change, and it's really funny me like ask, because like I don't know, I just like I have an idea for something, so I just like ask for it, and people are just like either like, yeah, we can do that, and I go sweet, or they go, what the heck are you talking about? Because I wanted to change the scent of thermal paste.
Ooh.
So that kind of like the new car type smell.
Really?
I wanted the new thermal paste smell.
No way.
When it heats up, it like sets off this aroma, so you smell.
Yeah, what happened there?
Everyone was like, what are you talking about?
Why?
That's like, we can't do that.
It needs to taste good. What? Gordon Ramsay's testing this.
Yeah, okay. I could talk about that too.
You've eaten thermal paste, haven't you?
Yeah.
I like how quickly you're just like, no hesitation. Like,
I also have this idea of, it's like, if you could make an edible thermal paste that was like 90 50% as effective as normal thermal paste.
Right.
Like that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
But then it's like, oh,
FDA.
I don't want to get, I don't, yeah. Well, FDA and just like the liability of like,
yeah, right.
Hello, Mr. Yeester. My son ate thermal paste and is going into cardiac arrest.
Mr. Yeester does like the next Tide Pod like challenge.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like, damn it, I don't want to be responsible for that.
There's this fine line of just like, that's too far. And I was like, that crossed the line for me. But I do think it's like really interesting because I went down this path of like, all right, I tested so many other things as thermal paste, and some of them performed really well in the short term.
Right.
And I was like, you could try to, like, you could use these ingredients to make a thermal paste that didn't have like nitrite in it, so you could eat it and you know, not have a bellyache. Or whatever, you know. And
wait, do you really turn blue if you eat thermal paste? Hey, big shout out to Thermaltake for hooking it up at CES 2024. So they dropped some seriously cool cases at their booth, and guess what? They teamed up with Asus to birth the Series 330, a mid-tower beauty that's all about those cable-free vibes with Asus's BTF motherboards that put all the connectors and headers on the backside. Clean look? Check. It supports up to 7 120mm fans and a 360 radiator at the front. Oh, and the case on display, you ask? Rocking that awesome hydrangea blue to celebrate Thermaltake's 25th birthday bash. Black and snow white versions are hitting shelves on January 10th for $109.99 USD. And the hydrangea blue option drops on January 4th, same price. Now let's talk about the CTE E600MX, a real head turner. Dual chamber mid-tower with edge-to-edge glass panels for the ultimate build peep show. You can even swap the front panel with an included mesh panel for more airflow. How cool is that? Plus the whole 90-degree rotated motherboard and a floating like a boss vertical GPU thanks to a handy mounting bracket and PCIe 4.0 cable, which are both included. Launching on January 20th in black, snow white, and hydrangea blue for $179.99. Not bad at all for all the cool stuff it brings to the table. But wait, there's more. The Tower 300, a micro ATX marvel with an octagonal shape. It's like Loot Crate, spaceship, endless nerdy possibilities with tons of modding potential. And it's not just for show. Removable toolless glass panels and a hinged fan bracket make access to components and cables a breeze. And if that's not rad already, you've got the option to set it up on an angled stand for a one-of-a-kind perspective on your build. Plus, there's a ventilated panel cleverly concealing all the I/O ports, giving it that ultra-clean aesthetic. Available for $149.99 in custom colors. Black and snow white are out now. Turquoise and blue on the 14th, and green and yellow dropping on February 4th. Major props to Thermaltake for making these CES 2024 chats happen. Check out their latest gear with the link in the description. Huge shout out to MSI for hooking it up at CES 2024 and making these interviews possible. Now brace yourselves for the tech magic. MSI just unveiled their MEG 321 URX QD OLED display, a 32-inch OLED 4K monitor that's got a wild 240Hz refresh rate and a crazy fast 0.03 millisecond response time. And get this, it's not just any monitor, it's powered by AI. Right now, the AI is all about giving League of Legends players an edge, but more games are in the pipeline. Check this out. There's a slick LED bar on the bottom that syncs with the character's health bar, keeping crucial info in your peripheral vision while you crush it in battle. Then there's AI SkySight, predicting where off-screen enemies might pop up and slapping a red skull icon on screen to show you where they're coming from. It's like tactical ESP. And the best part? No bans here, because all the AI magic happens on the monitor, not your PC. So go ahead, enjoy that sweet victory, you cheating son of a What's really neat is MSI is exploring ways to leverage AI in other games so users can teach their monitors to elevate their gameplay even further. But wait, there's more. MSI dropped a 49-inch QD OLED 2K display with a mind-blowing 5120 by 1440 resolution. Hits up to 144 Hz, and yep, it's packing the same AI superpowers as the other monitor. Both of them are also rocking OLED Care 2.0 for burn-in prevention, dimming desktop icons and other static stuff on your screen. Hear that noise? No, you don't, because this monitor is silent. This baby is fanless, using a graphene film to conduct heat like a champ before exhausting it passively out of its ventilated back panel. Want to dive deeper into all the MSI awesomeness? Hit up the link in the video description. Wait, do you really turn blue if you eat thermal paste?
Okay, so...
Or is that a total lie and I'm just an idiot?
No. So, okay. So where that comes from is if you consume too much silver specifically.
Okay.
Your skin turns blue through a condition called argyria.
Okay.
And what that means is like the silver deposits rest right underneath your skin. And so it like turns a little grayish and it looks silver. And the thing is, it's like a permanent condition.
No way.
It just never goes away.
Whoa.
Because like you can't scrub it away because it's underneath the skin.
Oh, damn.
And so like it's really interesting. And so there are thermal pastes that contain silver.
Right.
Right? Like Arctic silver it might be a very, very small amount of silver, but it does have silver. So
that, do you think that'll ever be an experiment you get
no,
to?
because I did the calculation. You have to eat like thousands of tubes of Arctic silver. And I was like, I don't do that.
You might have bigger problems
yeah,
than
exactly.
just being blue.
Yeah, no, totally. But like on paper,
totally doable.
Yeah.
Wow. Or that's totally possible.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. All right. I did not know that.
Yeah. Don't try it, but we'll keep that one as hypothetical.
And then now these are being sold in Micro Center now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like nationally,
Which is
right?
wild. Right. Not nationally yet.
Okay. They're testing a type of. Like,
yeah. It's like a slow rollout kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that it's like on shelf somewhere.
That's gotta be
still
wild.
Feels really weird to me because
it's gotta be surreal.
Yeah, it still doesn't feel real.
That cardboard cutout of you in the store.
Yeah, that was also really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's actually like I don't know. Like, I think it's really cool. Just the fact that it's there. I mean, Micro Center's been really supportive of just like me trying it and being like, if it fails, like, cool, we'll like chop it up as like a learning experience.
Sure.
But we want to like give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I was like very thankful for that opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's like it's really fun because sometimes I'll meet people and they'll say like, oh, where can I buy the Yeester? And it feels so official to be like, oh, you can go to Micro Center.
Yeah, dude.
Like, whoa.
That's almost like, all right, you made it. This guy made it. You know what I mean?
It just like gives a little bit of like legitimacy to it. But that's the funny part because like it's still like like knowing how I put it all together. It's like, oh, should it feel legitimate? I don't know. Like like the products themselves are, but it's like, man, it just. Like there's no tutorial for like how do you get a product into a store.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's even a more testament to like the work that you put into it. Like you had to figure this all out on your own. There's no. Yeah. I mean, there's probably some shitty masterclass for it.
That's what you get when you Google it.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be
exactly,
like, oh, okay.
Well, speaking of this thermal paste, I want to do a little bit of an experiment with you, and it's actually based on one that you've done previously.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Yeah. So you take this one.
Okay.
I take this one.
Yeah.
And we are going to replicate the CPU hold test on the tempered glass side panel.
Oh, okay.
To see who can get one of these hard drives to hold the longest on this glass panel.
The hard drives?
Using an entire tube of YeesterPaste.
Oh man.
So you get one, I get one. They're the same model. I'm not cheating. I've got like an SSD.
Dude. Do you mind if I like set up my camera for this?
Oh yeah, dude, go for it, please.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
I love this kind of stuff. This is what I like. This is what I live.
Sweet.
For.
I was like, I hope he's gonna enjoy this and not be like, this is. You
brought
lame.
an entire PC and hard drives.
Well, I've been editing on it. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it'll just be a little messy.
This is amazing. Yeah, I know. Thermal paste can hold up a CPU for a little bit. I've never tried it with anything heavier.
Dude,
these are pretty heavy.
Yeah, they are. Like I have no idea, but it's a whole tube, right? We're able to use the entire tube.
Yeah.
And also apply whichever pattern we think is superior. And you would have more experience on that than me. Let me know if you need me to move this.
No, you
want me to move it back or something like that.
It's funny. The one thing I forgot to bring to CES was like my tripod and like the thing that like I stand on my phone. So I've just been using like random objects to like.
Nice. I forgot pants. I literally forgot pants. I've been wearing these shorts all week, dude. I went to a nice-ass dinner with Corsair yesterday. I barely made the dress code. I was one sock away from not making it.
Dude, that's hilarious. Okay.
All right, dude. So, what do I do here?
Let's see.
I'm actually kind of nervous.
Because the thing is, you have to think about which parts are actually going to make contact with this.
Exactly.
I mean, worst case, they both last 0.01 seconds, and it's a tie.
Either way, it will be funny.
Oh, I grossly underestimated how much thermal paste is in here.
Same, dude. Same. I ran out way too fast.
How about we use 2 tubes each?
You want to do 2 tubes?
Yeah.
All right. 2 tubes is solid. Yeah, because I ran out halfway through my X. I've got a line. It's just a slash.
Dude, the X is goated.
We'll see. We'll see if it's goated for hard drives.
That's true.
Thank you. Any other Yeester products in the works?
There are some. I'm kind of leaning into the like ridiculous side of things because I love the idea of ridiculous accessories.
Of course. I think RGB paste would be pretty sweet.
Oh, I do too.
Would they be able to do that? Like have it be like a Lifesavers pack where it's just 5 different colors in one tube?
Yeah, you definitely could. You couldn't make them like Ooh, the other thing was like glow in the dark thermal paste.
Ooh.
I was like, that would be cool, but then you like can't see it anyway. So
That is true. It's hard to build in the dark. I've done it before.
have you?
Yeah, it was during a power outage in my office. I was like, this video needs to get done, dude. I was using my phone light. It was bad.
I will say, like watching your videos,
Yeah.
you're surprisingly proficient at building PCs with one hand. Like as you film.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Is that like a learned skill? Like
I think
I'm
it
very
is.
impressed.
I think it was just, it's like if you're born without legs, you gotta learn you gotta learn new stuff. It was just one of those things. It was like, all right, I should have like a little stabilizer on my camera, but I don't. Like I should use it.
I think it's impressive because I've tried to do the same thing and I go, how does he just have like abnormally large hands or what?
I mean, well, thank you for saying that. I think it depends on who you ask too, because a lot of times I'll get comments like, "This made me sick. I almost threw up." I'm like, all right, I guess I'm not that good. That's fine. All right, you done with yours?
I ran out, so I'm done.
Okay, I'm pretty much done too. All right, so what pattern did you go for?
So so what I did was, when I look at this, I think that the parts that are going to touch like first are there's like this outside bump.
Oh, damn.
And so I covered that first.
I'm screwed then. I only did the inside.
I'm not sure it's going to make that much of a difference though, because like they're not off by much.
Oh, damn, I overlooked like which level was higher. You think that's a little high, the outside?
I think it's
outer rim?
I think it's very slightly higher.
Okay, you might be right.
I'm not sure.
I think
this is why we test.
Yeah, for sure. All right, ready?
All right. Which way are you going to put it? Like vertically or?
Just like vertically like this.
Okay.
And when they fall off, they'll just break, and we'll never use them again.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. How long do you hold, do you think? How long should we hold?
This is probably good.
All right, go.
Wow, those are already staying on.
Oh, damn. Here we go.
Oh!
No!
Dude, you crushed it.
Dude, just barely.
No, I mean, dude, this is legit.
Just barely, dude.
You had the right idea.
It was a slow roll. Okay. That worked out.
That was
dude,
legit.
That was sick.
Look at that.
Really sick.
Out of the gates, you had the right idea. Putting it around the edges just did nothing.
That was pure luck. Because I saw the edges too, and I was like, maybe, but they're so thin.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't. It's just me not trusting my accuracy with the thermal paste. Like, I'm gonna miss.
No, because maybe it like suctions in the middle. You know.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You just
that could be
push it far enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, just sucks
See,
out
and
of
it's
the air.
like this is totally useless and not really helpful to anyone, but it's interesting.
Now we know.
Now we know if you ever get involved in like a thermal paste hard drive
Exactly.
battle, you will know the proper technique.
You never know when a skill is going to be transferable.
That's
right?
very
Until
true.
the moment where you're like,
That is
oh
so
my
true.
goodness.
Can you give us a sneak preview of any wacky things you got coming up?
Yeah. So I have one that I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of, and if I like actually want to post about it. But I want to see how many CPUs it takes to stop a flying bullet.
Ooh, it's like some Mr. Beast type stuff right there.
Yeah,
I
but
like that.
at the scale where it's like I have a lot of CPUs, I could like
right,
part ways with them.
Yeah, sure.
And so like there's some logistics there, and there's also just some like, oh, do I have enough CPUs for this? Is this like the kind of content that I want to post on my channels? But like the question of like how many is like really itching at me because I've had the idea for a long time, and it's just like, all right, like
how many do you think it is?
Well, it
More
depends
than-
on a lot of like factors.
Sure.
But with like a base case, I kind of feel like less than. Oh man, I don't know.
It's so hard.
It's hard to tell.
It could be 10. It could be 50. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah, or
It's like-
or it just like is nothing to the bullet. It's just
Right,
like
right.
oh yeah, it's like 150.
Yeah,
It's like okay,
exactly.
we'll never know because I don't have that many
right.
CPUs.
We just wasted 500 grand. We gotta cut it off here, guys.
Yeah.
Dude, but I hope if it works out that we get to see that from you at some point.
Yeah.
That would be, I think, literally everyone who's into PCs would watch that video.
It's
That's insane.
It's really funny that like the type of rabbit holes sometimes that like these kind of ideas send me down because
Sure.
you know I do some amount of research to think like all right is like does this answer exist already out there, and if so, like how did they come about it? And then sometimes like for this one in particular, I found this this web series on some like really like web 1.0 website
Yeah.
of people shooting computers with like shotguns.
Okay.
And it was like kind of skit oriented,
pretty
but
sick.
like from like very early 2000s.
Yeah. Wow.
And like like no views, no, like not really anything.
Yeah.
I'm like fascinated by it because
Right.
it's just like, wow, like you're doing the things that I like.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking about now, but like 20 years ago.
I can see the shining in your eyes. There's the glimmer in your eyes. As you're saying
I was
that.
like,
you're fired up.
I need to like find more of this kind of stuff.
I need to buy a gun.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like now you got me thinking like. Got me thinking like Sid from Toy Story, you know? Like, how do I just put a grenade and just shut the panel, see what happens?
It's a lot of that stuff where it's just like, like, would a computer survive a firecracker inside of it?
Yeah, right.
You know? Like,
or just like, what does that look like after, you know, what's the aftermath of that?
I've also had the thoughts of like, you know, just like the extreme kind of testing stuff where it's like, which computer part can survive the longest in a fire, right? So it's like, you know, I've seen stories of like someone's house like very unfortunately burning down and like people being safe, but like someone's computer was destroyed, and then like them sending that to some YouTuber and he like takes it apart and like looks at the parts, and I go, I just want to like see those parts.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
It's just like, where does it, I don't know, what does it look like?
Right.
And then like, does anything still work?
Yeah,
like, I don't know, like maybe
like the tech Hannibal Lecter, dude. Like, I want to see your insides. You know?
Sounds weird.
Have you ever been to like one of those break bars? I don't know what they call them. It was one in New York that I went to. It's basically like they just give you they suit you up in protective gear and gloves, and then just smash things.
I have not.
I went to one just for fun. Once
awesome?
I was visiting New York. It was just a random idea, and they had a desktop. They had a desktop
Did
in
they?
there. It was like an old Dell or something. It was fun, dude. They gave me a bat. They gave me like a sledgehammer and like a crowbar.
Yeah.
And I felt like, dude, Gordon from like Half-Life, dude. I was just like wrecking the shit out of this PC. It's kind of therapeutic,
I was
actually.
gonna say, how'd that feel?
It's like, this is for that one time you weren't booting and I needed you.
It's like Office Space. Dude,
it was straight up Office Space status. It literally was that. But there was some fun. There was some fun in just I don't know, wreaking havoc, you know?
There is something fun about that. And then it's like, and then it's just like, oh, like, did anything survive in the desktop? It's just like, I don't know, let's try it.
Yeah.
Turn it on. And then it's like, oh my gosh, the RAM still works. This is like, what?
Dude. Man, this has been fun, dude.
It has.
I'm enjoying this convo.
Same. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, I really appreciate even, I don't know, just even like I said, I respect you all so much that have done this and like paved the way, right? I look at what you guys are doing and think like, oh, like, is this like, it's the closest I can look at for like career trajectory, right? It's like, because it's not a normal job where you where you see like a very designated path of, all right, you get promoted to be like associate and then a senior and then a director. It's like, what is the longevity of this kind of stuff?
Right.
And that's kind of like what keeps me up at night.
Sure.
Coming from a world that like is the more corporate side of things.
Right.
It's like, what does this look like in 5 years?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is, right? I know. It's like, especially when you start having like your own family and like kids and stuff. It's like, this needs to be pretty locked in, pretty rock solid. You know what I mean? I can't be taking too many chances anymore.
Yeah, totally.
So, I mean, I guess that's part of like, that's one of the pros of scaling, you know,
that's
a
true.
business. It's like, okay, there's a bit more stability and stuff. But I think maybe you and I will cross that bridge when we get to it.
I think so.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Dude, Adam, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for the invite. This has been awesome.
For sure.